Now that you've listened so nicely to that book, let's get up and do one of our mindfulness stretching exercises that we do many weeks together. This is a new one. This is called the Maple Tree. And I chose this because this is actually a grounding meditation. So we're going to start by putting our feet apart so we're really comfortable and our back is straight. And we're going to raise our hands and we're going to make a cup like a maple syrup bucket. But what we're going to do is we're going to put that up. We're going to rise up like the branches of a tree. And we're going to put them out. Now while you're doing that, you're feeling this beautiful stretch in your back, and you're relaxing your arms, and you hold it just as long as you want. We're going to do it together again to a very special piece of music, but right now I'm just showing you how to do it. This is a maple tree position. You can even sway like a tree by rocking back and forth. You can twist. What if a slight wind hits your branches? Wouldn't the tree move like this? You could pretend to be a maple tree out in the forest. Then what you're going to do is you're going to bring your hands back together and make that maple syrup bucket collecting the sap. And you're going to put it back to your eyes. Now right here, this is called the earth pose because I'm pretending that this is a sap bucket. But you could also pretend that this is the earth because this is a yoga pose for the earth. Then we're going to move it down, 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 down. And this is called the humanity pose, where you're holding all of the people in the world together. And then my favorite part, you're going to embrace yourself. Remind yourself that you are loved and I love you, and then slightly twist back and forth. Are you ready to do it to some music? I have a very special treat. This is a wonderful song by Pete Seeger called Maple Sugaring Time.
Get the buckets ready, clean the pans and gather firewood late in the winter. It's maple syrup time. You need warm and sunny days, but still a cold and freezing nighttime for just a few weeks, maple syrup time. We boil and boil and boil and boil it all day long, till 97% of water evaporates, just like this song. And when what is left is syrupy, don't leave it too long. Keep up the fire, maple syrup time. I know it's not the quickest system, but each year I can't resist it. Get out the buckets and tap the trees in time. Making it is half the fun and satisfaction when it's done. Keep up the fire, maple syrup time. My grandpa said perhaps it's just a waste of time. Ah, but no more than this attempt to make a happy little rhyme. So now swing your tail or tap your feet, but keep in good time. Keep up the fire, maple syrup time.
What a good job you did. That was a wonderful song by Pete Seeger. It's a very, very old song. And it reminded me I need to let moms and dads and caregivers know that if you go to my YouTube channel and you go over to playlists, you can see where I have made all of my playlists public. So all the songs that we do together, the ones that I haven't written, are on there. And you can do those. So that's the dinosaur stomp, the bubble song, the freeze dance. It's raining tacos. Let's go to the library. Clap, clap, clap your hands, and all of our favorites. So take a look there, and I'll also put Pete Seeger Sugaring Time there. So a big shout out goes to Mary Ellen, who you love and you see every Tuesday, and this is from her sugar house and her family sugar house, Hutchinson's Family Sugar House. So, yum. If we were together, I'd probably make some pancakes, but that's something you can ask your moms and dads and caregivers to do, because what's better than breakfast for dinner? So, I'm going to read our next book. Normally we don't get 2 books in, but this is a special time for us. So we're going to read Maple Syrup Season. If you need to take a break and do something else, you can come back to this video whenever you're ready. But here we go. Maple Syrup Season by Anne Permel and illustrated by Jill Weber. Here we go. I'm ready to read. Are you ready to listen to Maple Syrup Season? I love this book. Uncle John leads the horse. It pulls the sled that carries Hannah and Hayden through the deep snow. They are breaking out a trail from the farmhouse to Grandpa's sugar bush. Sap is running in the old sugar maple trees. Look at all the animals cozy in their beds. This is a book that you should take out and look at all the little pictures. It is the time the Brockwell family comes together to make maple syrup. Sap's a-rising. Grandpa drills a hole and hammers in the spout. He hangs a bucket. Soon the first plunk of sap hits the metal bucket. Sap's a-rising, Grandpa shouts, and the family cheers and claps with their mittened hands. Grandpa, the uncles and dads drill holes. 2 bigger cousins follow and clean out the holes with twigs. Grandma, Aunt Hattie, and Mom hammer in the spouts, and Hannah and Hayden hang buckets while 3 younger cousins put hats on them. What do you think they mean by hats? Do you think they mean the lids? I think so. And the sun phase as the last bucket and hat are hung. If there is warm sunshine, the buckets will fill up with sap in a day or 2. If the wind blows freezing air and the sky is thick with clouds, it'll take a little bit longer. I'll keep an eye on the buckets, Grandpa says. Grandma will telephone you when it's time to take the sap to the sugar house. Look, I think the bears are starting to wake up. Harold. 3 days later, show me 3. 1, 2, 3, boys and girls. 3 days later, the buckets brim with clear sap, and the family is back in Grandpa's sugar bush. Mom and Aunt Hattie prepare the sugar house. Dad helps the uncles pour the sap from the tree buckets into gathering buckets and then into a giant barrel on a sled. And look at what that horse is doing. Is the horse drinking sap? Oh, silly horse. Uncle John leads the horse to the sugar house. It takes all of the grown-ups together to tip the barrel. I bet that's very heavy. And a stream of sap flows down in the gutter to the storage tank. From the storage tank, sap now pours into the evaporating pans. Flames shoot from the firebox and lick the bottoms of the pans. Look at that. Oh, I bet that smells good. The sap bubbles and pops as it boils. Boiling sap must be carefully watched. Not enough heat and it will not turn to syrup, but too much heat and the sap burns or even explodes. Uncle Fred's job is to feed the fire, and Grandpa tests the temperature. Dad and Uncle John take turns skimming the sap to remove the dirt and the bark. He's got a ladle, and look, and Grandpa is taking the temperature of the syrup. A maple frog fills the sugar house and rolls out the window and the doors. It's sheeting, says Grandpa. Hooray, it's syrup. Hannah's and Hayden's cheeks are mapley wet. The temperature of the finishing pan creeps up to 218 degrees Fahrenheit. Grandpa whoops, it's sheeting, and the children cheer, hooray! The sap has turned to syrup. Oh, how exciting. Uncle John opens the spigot and a golden stream cascades into a bucket. He closes the spigot and Grandpa sees if the hydrometer floats. If it does, the syrup is poured through a flannel-lined funnel into a filtering tank. There's lots to learn, isn't there? Grandpa pours syrup into sample jars to grade it. Here's the fancy syrup. Do you see how there's a hole in that box so Grandpa can see the color of the maple syrup? This first batch of syrup is pale gold or fancy grade. The syrup that comes next is darker. It's called grade A. And the last syrup of the season will be the darkest and the sweetest. It's called grade B. That's my favorite kind. I like B. Tonight, a maple moon will rise when Grandma tucks in Hannah and Hayden alongside of her cousins. Meanwhile, the grown-ups work in the sugar house making syrup until sunrise. They have a lot of sap to boil, don't they? There's lots of late nights in sugaring. The sun tops the trees and the snowflakes and float through the air. And after breakfast, Hannah and Hayden smooth down a mound of freshly fallen snow and brand new rakes. Grandma dribbles warm syrup, which quickly turns from sparkling rivers and ponds into a sweet, chewy taffy. Have you ever had that? I have, and it's delicious. Grandma calls only once, "Sugar on snow," and the family comes running. They drop to their knees and they pick up the taffy. Grandma has forks for Mom and Aunt Hattie, who like to twirl the candy before they eat it. And even Grandpa and Grandma kneel beside Hannah and Hayden. The whole family grins and laughs. They know that the sugary treat means spring will be coming soon. And won't that be a treat? And here at the end are all sorts of information and words about the book. And for my elementary school kids, you'll remember that this is called a narrative nonfiction, which is a book that tells a story about something real. So the next time you're at the library, you should take out Maple Syrup Season. It's one of my favorite books. You have been so good. And I know this is a little different from how we usually do things. My son is going to edit it, so it's going to look a little different. And my daughter has been filming it. So I think she's done a wonderful job. So I want to say a couple things to you, and a couple things that I have to say to you is this is a production of Baker Company, and all rights are reserved to Rachel Baker and Elkins Public Library. This falls under the fair use policy of the state of New Hampshire and American Library Association. I hope you've liked our little presentation today. And before we end, I want to do one more thing. Now, a few weeks ago, I introduced our new cheer together. Do you remember that? And we also did it up at the Dewey School. I wrote it, and I'm trying to work the bugs out of it. See what you think. But if you could all get out of your chairs and your seats and all stand up, because here we go, together. I sent this home with you a few weeks ago. Maybe it's on your refrigerator. But here we go. It's called Today is Great. So you start by going, I am great. And put your arms wide open. I am smart. You put your finger to your head. I am strong. Give me a little muscle there. Look at that muscle. And I am loved. Today is an awesome day. You've done so well. We'll keep doing that cheer as part of our regular programs. But until we see each other again, remember, I love you and I am so proud of you.